Hello everyone. Yeah, this is a weird video. We're going to be doing a video in regards to Ambrosia movement, aka squeaky chicken movement. Because I see a lot of new runners, especially with Final Fantasy XVI, New Game Plus, etc. Kind of like not use the optimal movement when it comes to movement with Ambrosia. Ambrosia obviously being our white chocobo that we get, which is an optional side quest, but kind of mandatory with story action, New Game Plus speedruns. Ambrosia being the chocobo that is our steadfast ally in the story perspective. Ambrosia is very, very quick in terms of movement over just standard flatland ground movement. Even if we do the standard dash, or we'll say gallop is the correct term, because they do say gallop. Gallop is very, very quick movement, as people can see. So galloping with Ambrosia is a lot quicker than doing your Phoenix Shift or doing any other kind of movement that you do on New Game Plus, etc., irregardless of whether it's story action, because it's the same game. So I kind of want to look at exactly Ambrosia movement that people should know when they speedrun this game. So first and foremost, if you're ever doing a New Game or New Game Plus, make sure you take up the Ambrosia side quest, because it is kind of required. It is a extra, I think it's 1 minute 40-second side quest, but the movement that you gain over the rest of the run is very much worth it, because I'm going to show you a lot of things in regards to this. Now, I probably will edit in some things behind the scenes that will show exactly how movement, even on flat ground, compared to things like Phoenix Shift or shall we say like even Shiva shifts or things like that nature, are slower compared to Ambrosia. But even like on the gallop from Ambrosia is pretty fast, and a lot of new runners will sit there and go, oh, I just need a gallop with Ambrosia without squeaky chicken, and that will be all that we need to do, which is fine. But I'm going to show you 3 movement patterns with Ambrosia that you should know, which are a lot faster than just the standard gallop. So the very, very first one that we're going to look at is the Ambrosia flutter. So this is a good example here. We're on the mission, basically Bolts from Blue, which is for fulfilling Mid's request. And typically, if you're doing a New Game or New Game Plus, you're going to warp to Eastpool. And if you know Eastpool and you know the direction to get to the Wyvern, we have this cliff. There's a sheer cliff in the way. So obviously, if you try and run down it, this is what happens. You get run animation, which is fairly okay. Like run animation, like you fall further down in terms of gravity than you do across. So the big thing obviously is Chocobo Flutter. Chocobo Flutter is quick when you need to cross a big gap, especially if you're descending, because you get more horizontal movement than you do downward movement, especially on gaps like that. Because if you just fall off the ledge, you just plummet. Gravity takes more effect than you. So downward movement is much more than horizontal movement. So whenever you have a downward movement that crosses a big gap, you should always do a Chocobo Flutter, which is always jump, hold X, flutter across. This seems very straightforward, and a lot of people should already know this. If not, then hey, happy to help. Like, that's very, very a big part of Chocobo movement. The next one I'm going to show is things that people definitely don't know, even when you're casually playing, which is what we call Chocobo Dash. So we will do what's called a power slide or a Chocobo slide into a Chocobo Dash. So the way we do it is you gallop, you hold the direction and the brake, and then opposite direction as you're in the middle of the brake, and release. So I will do this again. You can see I have the control on the top left hand side of the screen, so you guys can see exactly what I'm referring to here. So this is how I would do a Chocobo power slide into a dash, like that. And you can see by Ambrosia's even just like leg movements, this is very much quicker than your standard gallop. So this in itself is much quicker movement, and combining this, for instance, with a Chocobo Flutter means that you can cross a lot of big sort of descending gaps very quickly. So combining the two,
Yes.
about the same, but combining the initial movement and the Chocobo Flutter means that you can approach it quicker and take the same sort of leap, etc. So we do that generally as part of requirements in terms of movement. It's very much the quickest movements that we have. So dash, flutter. You can see we can actually get a bit further distance. It's not much, but there's still quite a bit of distance that we can get. So this is the second piece of movement that we have, which is called the Chocobo Dash. Now, there is actually a movement that's even quicker than this, which is called Chocobo Dash Kicking. So, if we were to head straight line and we do a Chocobo slide into a dash and we kick or attack, you can see how quick the movement is. Obviously, if you're doing a big gap, the Chocobo kick will not be as effective because gravity will take effect. So if we were to do the shortcut here, for instance, you can see gravity kind of heads in, and if you've ever done a Chocobo Dash, if you were to run into a wall like this, for instance, you can see that you lose all the dash function, etc. So whenever we do a Chocobo Dash, we need to make sure that Ambrosia is not impeded, because as soon as Ambrosia is impeded, we lose the dash function. So combining the two, we can make really, really quick movements. So this is a good example. So this is, I'm going to go back and I'm going to resummon Ambrosia. So this is Eastpool heading on the way to the Wyvern fight as part of the Bolts for Blue quest. Okay, so Phoenix Shift, summon Ambrosia. Did get the stagger there, but anyways, let's go for the Ambrosia movement. So we're gonna dash, we're gonna gallop, dash, because that gives us extra movement, jump, land here, redash, and then we're gonna kick our way through. And you can see how much quicker this is compared to just normally running with Ambrosia. Even if you knew what a Chocobo Dash was, just doing the kick in itself is a lot quicker. And this will be the trigger point here, for instance. That is really, really quick movement. There's one other thing that makes the Chocobo Dash kick so much better than just regular movement with Ambrosia. If you can pull this off, especially with things like the Valkyrie Desert or just general movement whenever you need Ambrosia. So we have two enemies here. So I'm going to trigger the enemy attacks here. I'm going to trigger the enemy. So we're in enemy combat. If I was to dash and attack, if I was to gallop and attack, Ambrosia's going to attack them. So irregardless, if they're close by, Ambrosia is always going to target. Ambrosia likes to target them. So we can manipulate this with a Chocobo Dash kick. So if we were to, I'm going to despawn them and respawn them. There we go. I'm going to respawn this enemy. So I'm not even aggroed. There we go. We're aggroed. So you can see that Ambrosia got hit by the gate there, so therefore we lost the dash. See, we got lost by the dash, so therefore Ambrosia automatically targets them. But as soon as I dash kick, so in Chocobo Dash Kick, Ambrosia will keep going forward, but depending on where the enemy sits on your radar depends on how far Ambrosia will kick to the side. So if they're on the right side of your radar, or right side of your screen, Ambrosia will kick to the right. If they're on the left side of the screen, Ambrosia will kick to the left. So, and the kick movement, depending on where enemies are, means you can have up to double your movement range as well within the same period. So, there we go. As you can see, Ambrosia sees that there's enemies and the kick goes further. So we'll do it again this way. There you go. Ambrosia is going to the right because Ambrosia sees an enemy to the right and the kick goes twice as far. So in terms of Ambrosia movement, you can manipulate enemies. So long as an enemy appears on your radar, you can get double the movement, speed, and range on a Chocobo kick. You just need to make sure that you manipulate it so that Ambrosia, for instance, follows where you want to go, and you have to just manipulate the enemies on your screen if they're within range so that you can manipulate where Ambrosia's kicking. And that is Ambrosia Movement Guide, or Squeaky Chicken Movement Guide. Hope this helps everyone. Bye for now.